All right, welcome. Appreciate you tuning in. In this video, we're going to cover upgrading from the standard heatsink on a Bitaxe or Nerdaxe Gamma to the Mirage, a great option when it comes to your single chip devices. So we see here, we've got our Nerdaxe hashing away, and it's currently running 58.5 on the ASIC temp at 47% fan speed. Now that's important. This is on the PID, so it is targeting a 60-degree ASIC temperature, and it's doing that with 47 to 50% of fan speed of effort. Okay? So we're going to power our device down. On the back side, as you've seen in my other video, the spring clip design. We're going to squeeze the clips, little push, squeeze the clip, little push, unplug the fan connector, pop those out all the way, and remove the heatsink. Now, and this heatsink uses a special shroud that slides in between the fins. This shroud will not work on our new one, on the Mirage. So we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. We're going to take a Q-tip and a little bit of alcohol, and we're going to clean off the surface of our ASIC. We want to get all the old thermal paste off. And thermal paste starts to kind of set up and dry after it's been on and running for about a day, 2 days. So once we break that seal, the thermal paste isn't likely to kind of reform. Okay, especially the older it gets. Our Mirage heatsink, which comes in a beautiful case to protect it during shipping, is going to come with the heatsink, of course. It's going to come with 4 screws and 4 nuts. The screws are going to be a 2mm Allen. In this case, I just got a quick T-handle. And the nuts are 5.5mm. Okay? Now you can use a socket, you can use a pair of pliers if you want, but I don't tend to like that because they will tend to slip. Now we provide a locking nut, and the thought process there is we don't want these to slowly back out over time. Fan vibrates, we don't want it to back out. We want it, once we set this, we want to leave it exactly where it is. Okay, 2 things to keep in mind here. 1, nice clean ASIC. 2, the ASIC sits about 1 millimeter above the height of the board, and that's important to remember because when we go to place the heatsink, we want our heatsink to sit about 1 millimeter above the height of the board. You can kind of see the gap as it's sitting flat on here. Okay, that's really important because we're not trying to over compress the ASIC. We don't want to crack it. We don't want to break a solder joint, because once you do that, it's going to take work to replace the ASIC to try and repair it. Okay? So, just a little dab will do. We want just a little bit of thermal compound on the ASIC. I'm going to insert my screws into my heatsink. The way I like to do this is I hold the board and I just pivot until all my screws are in. Sometimes you get one that will straggle that falls out like that guy, and then I just put them in my hand. A little bit of tension on the heatsink with my left hand, and I'm going to hand thread in these nuts all the way around. Perfect. So now I've got the nuts started. I'm take my Allen on the back side. I like to run the Allens from the front back and the nuts on the back. These will fit in the case regardless of the direction, or at least the case that we provide. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put pressure on the Allen, and I'm going to tighten the nut with my target of having close to a millimeter gap. I'm going to go a little wide. between the heatsink and the board, as you can see here. I'm not going to over tighten these because I still have 4. I want to do a balanced tightness. So I'm going to tighten these down, looking for a millimeter gap. If I can't see it between the heatsink and the front of the board because of pressure, I'm looking between the nut and the back of the board. Okay? When in doubt, just back it up a little bit, give yourself a little extra room, flip the board over, and let's do the same thing. Now as we tighten this up, it's going to create tension on both sides. So we want to do balanced pressure on both sides. Again, we're targeting about a millimeter gap between the heatsink and the front of the board. And that looks really good. So as we can see here, I've got a nice about a millimeter gap, and it's equal on all 4 corners. Okay, that's our goals. We want to have nice equal pressure, not over tightening. We're not trying to flex the board. We're not trying to crack the ASIC. Okay. Now when we ship our devices, because all of our single chip devices now come with the Mirage, we have an updated design for the shroud for the fan. Okay, we also will be offering, if we don't already, we will be offering on our website the shrouds designed for the Noctua fans, both the thick and the thin Noctua fans. I would caution you though, if you plan on doing any kind of overclocking at all, Noctua is not great for airflow. They are great for sound, but not great for airflow. I'm going to install this in the shroud. And then I'm going to install my shroud right into my heatsink. Now, this is how we ship them. And we will be offering this shroud, potentially offering this shroud with our fan for sale on the website. The alternative option, just going to plug this in real quick. The alternative option is that you can actually take this fan, butt it straight against the heatsink and run 4 screws down. You just, I would love to tell you the size, but these fan sizes are going to vary, so you really have got to just figure out what works best for you. Once we have that all done, we're going to plug it in. We're going to let it boot up. And then we're going to talk about how much improvement we had on fan speed versus temperature as soon as it gets averaged out. All right, we see our Nerd has reached up to its average hash rate, and what we're seeing on the dashboard is 55 degrees Celsius, and the average fan speed's around 25 to 30. Now it's about 85 degrees C in this room, or 85 degrees Fahrenheit in this room. So you see we've got a pretty good reduction, and what that means is longer fan life, less noise, and better performance, because we can now elevate the frequency and voltage on this device if we wanted to try and push a little overclock, and this heatsink will support that. All right, well, I appreciate you watching. You got any questions? Reach out, add a comment to the bottom, like, share with your friends. We're always here to help. Thanks for your business.